Ever since AEW came into existence, a breath of fresh air has entered the wrestling world, and wrestling feels alive again. Wrestling feels like it's come back home to AEW, and Tony Khan is a major cause in all of this. So because of that,
I would like to thank Mr. Tony Khan.
Of course he didn't do it alone, but in AEW, Tony Khan revitalized people's passion for wrestling, myself included, and he revolutionized the wrestling industry as a whole. And for that, he deserves many thanks. Tony Khan had a vision. He saw the way the art form of wrestling was being told in WWE, and he had a different vision of what the art form of wrestling could be and should be. He saw the trajectory of the wrestling industry, especially in the West, and he decided that he wants to take a massive chance and start a new wrestling company. And to be completely honest, Tony Khan might be one of the few people on planet Earth who could spearhead a wrestling revolution that's of the magnitude of AEW, because he has the perfect mix of these three attributes that makes him a worthy leader of the wrestling renaissance. And these three attributes are his business acumen, his vast wrestling knowledge, and his resources. And by resources, I mean money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
If Tony Khan severely lacked in any of these three attributes, then AEW would not have the success that it has today. Tony Khan's business acumen is impeccable, and he's an incredibly intelligent individual, as he's the co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the London-based football team Fulham FC. Not to mention, he also has a Bachelor of Science degree in finance, and is also the owner of True Media Networks, which is an engineering firm that specializes in sports analytics. As you can tell, Tony Khan is a busy man, and he's admitted in the past that sometimes he works almost 24-hour days.
Damn, son.
Get some sleep. Tony Khan clearly knows how business works, and he knows what it takes to take a project and make it successful. So that leaked into his formation and running of AEW. One common trait that all successful people have is the willingness to take risks. And Tony Khan took a lot of risks to make sure that AEW got off the ground, as he had to pitch business ideas to several different companies like Warner Media, who are the owners of TNT, and he also had to pitch to the elite themselves, who were hearing offers from WWE for a lot of money. So in all of this, Tony Khan was the mover and the shaker, and he put his pride and time on the line while making these negotiations. And you can never ever get back time, especially when you're as busy as Tony Khan. Tony Khan had an intense hunger to succeed, and this filtered into his undeterred willpower to make AEW an actuality. Tony Khan also contributed a lot of resources to AEW, as he's part of a multi-billion-dollar family, so he's contributed millions upon millions of dollars to make sure AEW becomes a success. And when the pandemic struck, Tony Khan didn't release any wrestlers, unlike some other wrestling company. I'm looking at you, WWE.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
And Tony Khan said that he personally ate all the costs of the massive wage bill, despite there being no revenue from crowds. And while AEW was going through a little bit of a financial slump, Tony Khan also made sure to give independent wrestlers work, as he booked massive AEW dark cards. And this shows that he cares about independent wrestling a lot, as a lot of these wrestlers were out of work. Tony Khan did not have to do all of this and spend millions of dollars, but he had a dream in his head of what wrestling should be, and he sacrificed his resources to make that dream happen. Tony Khan also has a vast amount of wrestling knowledge that has enabled AEW to succeed. So many wrestlers in the past have said that Tony Khan is like a walking wrestling encyclopedia. I mean, just ask Britt Baker.
Tony Khan's a wrestling genius.
Tony Khan has been a lifelong wrestling fan and has always wanted to start a wrestling company, so he studied the wrestling industry intensely. And because of this, Tony Khan knows the ins and outs of the wrestling business, and he knows what it takes for a wrestling company to succeed, at least on the surface. But what makes Tony Khan such a great booker is that he's just a fan like all of us. When he's booking, he can put himself in the perspective of a fan and ask himself whether he'd like it or not if he was watching from behind the guardrail. And because Tony Khan is a fan, he knows exactly what gets people's wrestling boners erect. And he knows how much unpredictability and emotional connections to storylines and characters entice a fan base to continuously watch the show and grow the audience. Tony Khan has created an incalculable allure to AEW where anything could happen at any time. Like wrestlers who were formerly part of WWE could appear at any time, or wrestlers from the independent circuit could appear on Dynamite, or wrestlers from New Japan Pro Wrestling could show up in AEW. Thanks, Forbidden Door. And this is adding an undeniable excitement factor to every show AEW runs, because you never know what's going to happen. So every single AEW show is anticipated greatly, as there is a tangible hue of excitement that overwhelms every AEW crowd. AEW also treats other wrestling companies that exist as canon, and they don't change wrestlers' names and pretend like wrestlers didn't work in other places before they arrived, and they don't insult the intelligence of their audience. Once again, I'm looking at you, WWE.
Did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that?
Tony Khan has also cultivated a great locker room environment in AEW, as wrestlers literally have nothing bad to say about the backstage AEW environment, as the locker room feels more akin to a family than a locker room. Tony Khan understands that wrestlers just need to be themselves, which is very conducive to a healthy wrestling environment where all the workers are energized and motivated and ready to go to war for AEW and Tony Khan. What Tony Khan has done for the wrestling economy is also massive, and I made a video about how he saved the wrestling economy by destroying the monopoly that WWE had in wrestling. You should definitely go check that out if you haven't. But basically, there's now cheaper access to wrestling for fans and better overall product for every company, and more places to work for wrestlers and higher pay for wrestlers. Basically, Tony Khan gave the wrestling economy the shot in the arm that it needed. Wait. Is Sasha Banks around? Because she might freak out if she hears me talking about a shot in the arm, if you know what I mean. All in all, Tony Khan is just a really nice guy who just loves pro wrestling. And people on the internet love to make fun of him because maybe he smiles too much, or he's awkward at times, or his promos and mannerisms are kind of weird.
9 days from tonight, you got time to get ready, man. 9 days from tonight, you have to wrestle in 9 days.
But underneath it all, he has a heart of gold, and I have yet to hear one person who personally knows him speak ill about him or his character. So he deserves a big thank you for being the person that he is, and for being the driving force behind the company that made me and a lot of other people fall in love with wrestling again. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan, and I used to exclusively only watch WWE and WWE only, but they made me fall out of love with wrestling. I kid you not, I used to fall asleep watching WWE Raw sometimes, like I was a geriatric.
He's here! The indomitable Goldberg!
And I was close to stopping to watch wrestling, but then AEW came around and I started to believe again. AEW showed me a new type of wrestling and I was blown away, and I didn't know that wrestling could be that exciting. I forgot how it felt to watch a whole wrestling show and say that I thoroughly enjoyed the whole thing. I forgot how it felt to look forward to the next episode with childlike joy and wonder. And AEW came around and checked all these boxes. And because of the love that was rekindled within me through AEW, it made me branch out and watch other wrestling promotions, like independent promotions and New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom. And some of my favorite wrestlers and moments in wrestling are from these promotions. But remember, I would not have discovered the magic of wrestling outside WWE if Tony Khan didn't take a chance with AEW. I used to be embarrassed to watch wrestling, but not anymore ever since AEW came around. And now, because I love it so much, it even inspired me to create this YouTube channel. And now I'm close to 1,000 subscribers in just a little over 2 months, and that blows my mind. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed, and obviously subscribe if you haven't. But I'd just like to thank Tony Khan for bringing some good old wrestling, serotonin, and dopamine to me and everybody else. Thank you, Tony Khan, for everything. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and consider following me on my socials. But anyway, until next time, goodbye, you jobbers.